Podcast, your Xbox newscast featuring Colteastwood, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. West Coast and 8 p.m. East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, the XNC podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with Colteastwood's Xbox Newscast.
Hey, how you doing? This is Colteastwood, and this is the Xbox XNC podcast, and I'll never get over that classic intro that my friend made for me with that voiceover, the classic 80s or 70s style voiceover, but I am having such a good day. I just spent the past 15 minutes backstage talking to Dreamcast Guy, who's my guest today, and we've never talked before. We've watched each other's videos. And Dreamcast Guy, you hate Xbox, right?
It's true. It's true. You know, at the end of the show, if this gets 1,000 likes, maybe I'll smash a controller or something just to make sure. Maybe I'll DM Phil Spencer something mean. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, just hit the like button if you're here. Show your support of the channel. This is an unorthodox thing. I've been on PlayStation channels for their podcasts, and Dreamcast Guy, he's been around and he's been on people's channels and he's been doing videos. And so, you know, the first instinct of the crazy console war is that these two aren't going to get along, or you're going to hate one or the other. I'm really excited about it. I had a feeling when I asked Dreamcast Guy to be on the show that we were going to get along. So far, so good. We've got a lot of great topics. It's going to be a great show, but I want to turn the attention over to him because some of you may know him from by name, scrolling through and seeing his big videos on YouTube, and we have our preconceived notions about who people are. Let's give him a shot. Dreamcast Guy, where did you come from? What egg was it that you hatched? Tell them about you and how you got into all this.
I mean, just in general, I was gaming from a young age, but I feel like when I really started getting hardcore was Xbox, original Xbox, Halo, stuff like that. Went over to PlayStation 2 for a bunch of years because of Final Fantasy and stuff, but I've kind of alternated generations by accident. I'd be like Xbox 360 one generation, then PlayStation 4. Now I'm kind of playing both again. But it's been fun. I feel like every generation of consoles has been so different. So I feel like, you know, growing up with all the consoles, growing up during the console wars has been so fun. But maybe the internet gets a little bit too serious about it sometimes. I think they forget this is supposed to be fun.
That we're all like dire, just crazy enemies. Yeah, they do. Yeah. So when did you start doing the YouTube videos? Like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to.
Like 2012, I randomly just, I was working at a bookstore. I was actually managing a couple locations of this bookstore, and I did not know a single gamer, literally zero gamers in my entire life, no gamers in my professional life. And I loved playing video games, and it gave me this very annoying fire where I was like, there's absolute great games coming out. Uncharted was kind of blowing up. I feel like there was all this rumors and talk about Halo 5 at some point and stuff. And I was like, I want to talk about this. And there's zero people in my life. So I started just filming these terrible videos on my cell phone, and they started getting views, and it just kept climbing. So I bought a gaming PC and started learning how to edit and stuff like that, and started doing the game reviews. And it just kind of snowballed. I started off doing very horror specific stuff, actually, because I really love Resident Evil and stuff. And it just let me diversify with time. It's been fun that it's ended up here, you know.
Oh, that is cool. And I totally clock that when you're like, the people you work around or some of your close friends aren't gamers, so you can't have that conversation. And if you're hardcore, like a lot of people watching here and in the chat, like we think about gaming a lot. And if you go at work at the water cooler talk about a game, they'd be like, huh? So yeah, I'm the same way. I got a PC so that I could start editing stuff together and getting like my voice out there for gaming. So you're at 200,000 subscribers?
Yeah. 200,000.
That's a big move. And you got the plaque. I've got my plaque behind me just above my head for 100.
You did the same thing I did. I literally framed the letter as well, and I think I have that exact same frame. I have it a little bit off camera, but I love that they mail you that letter being like, this is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it's tough to cover gaming stuff and get people to listen. Like it takes a while, but yeah, I know the chat is getting a little goofy about it. I don't blame them because, you know, I've heard about you for a while. I'm sure we both had our own ideas, but it isn't that serious. And what I've learned, I've been on some really big PlayStation podcasts with a lot of people that are really active in the community, and I find out when I get in that situation on their show, like it's just so much easier just to be honest and normal because you're in mixed company as far as like who likes what. So I think the conversation should be pretty good.
I feel like none of us are enemies. I feel like that's the main thing that people kind of need to understand is that even if we disagree, even if you made a video that with one of your videos I didn't like, it's still you presenting something you're passionate about. You're not wrong or anything. It's just things I disagree with. So I think that's fun though, is that if you have friends, it's fun to, debate fun topics of Xbox, PlayStation and all that rah rah.
Yeah, I know it. There's been some crazy stuff going on Twitter over this past week alone with industry professionals and then people who they've picked a side. We'll get into that in a moment, but let's see what I wanted to ask you about what you've been playing lately. What's been the big game that's been keeping you busy this week?
This week, I'm so obsessed with Splitgate. Have you played Splitgate at all?
I haven't. No.
Oh my god, this might be in my top games of the year. It is it's Halo with portals. So when you play it, you actually just your like typical scope gun, but then L1 R1 or left bumper right bumper is your two portals. So there's this crazy meta to it of like almost every surface is portable, so you can actually snipe people. You can put a portal behind somebody, then put like a portal on the floor, shoot guns through it. I don't know. It's so simplistic, but it feels they totally copied the Halo speed exactly. So it's trippy to play a game that's that freaking quick and has super weapons and really good HUD notifications. There's a game mode where you have to teabag people, where you kill people, but it doesn't confirm the kill till you run up and teabag them. It's hilarious. I love it.
Wow. Okay, I've heard a lot of people talking about it. So you're basically got Portal and Halo and it feels good to play. Like
it does. Well, and there's tons of maps, and it's slowly. I think the smartest thing about it is that there's like a casual mode. You start off playing. Everybody absolutely sucks, and you have to play like 10 matches of that, and there's only a couple maps and a couple like real simple modes, and then it opens up a little bit more, and it's like, all right, now you're level 15, you can do team-based matches and do stuff like oddball, and like it starts to open up more, and then once you hit level like 20, then it's like, all right, now you can do the ranked matches, and there's tons of new maps that are much more complicated. It's so beginner friendly, and I feel like a lot of games kind of screw that up, especially online shooters. You jump in there and you just get eaten by the piranhas. I kind of like the fact that it wants you to learn it.
Wow, that's cool. Is it free to play?
Yeah, totally. I ended up buying the battle pass. The battle pass sucks. I'll be honest. The skins look terrible. Like all the stuff you unlock looks terrible, but the game's so fun. It's like everything looks good and sleek by default. It's very Halo-ish, and then all the unlocked skins are like purples and pinks and butterflies, and just not my aesthetic. Gosh. So don't get the battle pass.
That reminds me, we got to make sure we talk about Saints Row later on the show.
Yeah.
Because I don't talk about a lot of multiplats, because when we always get on the subject of exclusives, but there's some big games that were talked about at Gamescom we'll get in towards later in the show. I think it'll be funny to kind of hear our perspective on how people take some of these things. That's another kind of interesting thing. I just finished Psychonauts 2, which of course is like an Xbox first-party studio game. A lot of people are talking about it. It got an 88 Metacritic if you live and die by the number. I didn't think I would like this game, and I ended up really liking it. Have you even loaded this thing up yet?
I'm playing a lot of it right now. I did take a break because I got into Splitgate. I'm very mixed on it, like in a positive way, in that I'm kind of fighting with myself because I like it so much. To me, it's probably a 9 or a 9.5 on the chart. And I like the puzzles. I like a lot of stuff. I feel like it's so jokey at times. I kind of wish that I could stop. Or I wish there was a way where I could like just stop and kind of enjoy the environments a little bit more. But other than that, I think it's so cool. I think being in Psychonauts headquarters is such a nice touch. I think the puzzles are much more intricate. It's crazy how much it feels like Psychonauts 1. I mean, what that like 20 years ago? It's so on key. It's crazy.
Yeah, it looks like it hasn't evolved a whole bunch. But the weird thing I noticed is I think it's 12 to 15 hours to finish the game. The further I got in, the more care and attention they put to the levels. Like I kind of like, oh, this game's good. Then I was like, oh, this game's really good. Yeah, that game was pretty fun. I was playing that, and then I finished It Takes Two with my kid. So
yes, I love that game.
It took me forever to play it. When it first came out, I was co-oping it with Dealer Gaming. We played like the first quarter of the game, and then we moved on to something else, and I never finished it. So I picked it up with my son. I think that could be Game of the Year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I ended up. Everybody was telling me it was game of the year. That game went on sale real quick, and Amazon was doing some sort of like deal of the day thing. So I picked it up cheap, and my best friend lives like not too far from me. So I just, like little kids walked over there and did a sleepover, and we beat it in a night, and it was so fun.
Oh,
I like that.
Jeez.
I love that every level is a totally different game type. There's like this wizard level, and then there's this biplane level, and there's the level where you have the hammer and nails, and the nails work like Thor, where you magnetize them back.
Yes.
It's nuts. I love that game.
It was, yeah, it's so good. We got Paris in the chat who says Psychonauts 2 is my second favorite game this year after Death's Door, which, like, what a surprise that some of the biggest games this year are smaller, like Death's Door, It Takes Two, Psychonauts. Of course, Ratchet and Clank will probably be nominated, but it's like pretty much AAA. The game's been going on forever, so it's bigger and bigger. But I guess really the biggest games this year are not, they're not like real burly. I did not expect that. I did not expect to enjoy Psychonauts. And of course, when you're talking about It Takes Two, like it never does the same thing twice, and everything just feels so polished. Like, did that game go on sale because people were just like, I'm over it?
I do think it was that. And also, I do think that I feel like so much conversation's still been, where can I buy an Xbox Series X? Where can I get a PlayStation 5? I feel like so many people are just trying to worry about saving up their money. I feel like a lot of games have not been selling quite on the tier that I thought they would. I feel like a lot of game sales have kind of been lower. And I just kind of believe it's because everyone's trying to get hardware more than software. Because, I mean, Death's Door, super freaking good game. So many people I see are saying, "Oh, it looks great, but I'm not going to buy it yet." And it's like, well, please do support these developers,
Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder. There's a little bit there where the past year hasn't been really great for people's finances as they're trying to get out of this mess. And I don't know. We were talking pre-show about how there's just this huge ramp of the new consoles in E3, and now we're in this like, now I just wait for the games to come out. And you and I were talking about how frustrating it is that. What did you say about your friends and the PS5?
Yeah, literally zero of my friends. Most of my real life buddies are big PlayStation people, and zero of them have a PlayStation 5. I have the only PlayStation 5 of my rather large friend group, to the point at which people are like impressed that I managed to get this. That's how rare it is. But I mean, same with the Xbox Series X. I know one friend who has a Series S. It's weird to me that these things are so scarce. I honestly thought that this chip shortage wouldn't be as bad as it is, but I mean, they can't print these things.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that might be our next top. Well, we'll get into that. I guess I always like to go out of order as it flows nicely, since you did a nice setup.
Yeah.
There's this whole controversy about the new revised PS5, and I know my chat might think it's going one way, but my first instinct is, they said that this thing is worse. It's hotter. It's slightly louder. It's cheaper materials. And I feel like I'm a smart enough guy. I'm like, I bet you there's not going to be an overheating problem. Like, they wouldn't go through all this trouble of not even a year in and they've got a revision. I don't think there's going to be a problem. GamesBeat or VentureBeat, where Jeff Grubb works, he wrote an article today about how it's not worse. Take us through the mess of Austin Evans and how he reacted to this. Because you were watching, right?
Yeah, I watched. I actually think his video was very entertainingly done, but Austin Evans managed to very quickly overnight the new PlayStation 5 revision. It seems like he has one of the first ones in the world that I've seen online, and he did a very comprehensive tech teardown, actually looking at every individual part, and he found that the heatsink is smaller. So when they tracked it, the heat leaving the console is hotter. So now there's this interesting debate going on as to whether that's good or bad. Like, shouldn't the hot air be leaving the system faster? Is that a bad sign? I'm kind of curious. I mean, personally, I'm glad I have the Model 1. If that does turn out to be a problem at some point, I'm glad I already got this revision of it or whatever. But
sure.
I hope if it starts becoming recalls, it's going to be a big story. But I feel like it's got to be tested. There has to be somebody at Sony headquarters who figured out, all right, we can print this many faster consoles, this much easier if we take out this amount of this chip. So we'll see if there's any side effects. But right now, man, the debate has been fierce.
Yeah, the FUD has been going crazy because, I mean, this is what people want. They wanted to be sensationalized on this thing. And I watch Austin Evans. He does really great content, but he's worried about, this they're talking about the SSD with the heat sinks not even in there, and you're already 9 degrees hotter out the vent. Digital Foundry is going to be looking at this. Richard Ledbetter said that he tried to get a hold of one, and he was frustrated that Austin Evans got one before him. So you can imagine they were frustrated because they want to be first on the scene. But I'm interested to see what they're going to say. What else is about this thing?
So
Did
you see Modern Vintage Gamer? I just want to give his take. So Modern Vintage Gamer, he is a game developer. Actually, we have all played his version of Quake now. He's actually the lead developer who made the new Quake remaster. The man is a genius, but he did a special tech teardown when he got the PlayStation 5 where he tracked its heat very carefully with a thermal gun, and he thinks this is pretty much within variance. He thinks that this is hotter, yes, but it's nowhere, like, it's not destructive levels. And I kind of trust his words, so we'll see what it turns into.
Yeah, and did Austin, at first he's testing like a static, Astrobot, he's standing there in the world, There's different tests, like you got to load up games that kick the fan up, but that takes a lot of time. And other than, like, I'm pretty sure he tore that thing down in one day, made the video and got it out as soon as possible and got a lot of good information. But one of the takeaways from this, for those that care to get a PS5, is Sony has made it easier for a few more people to get one. I think, and that, they're going to save a couple of bucks, or maybe they'll make a few cents on the console. But isn't this really about getting more out to build the platform?
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one thing. And I feel like they must have tested this thoroughly. My only concern is I'm curious to see how these work in a year. It'd be interesting if, like, in a year or 2 years, we start to see which version of the PlayStation 5 breaks down first. Because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember, if I recall correctly, the weird thing with the Red Ring of Death problem back in the day was that at the Xbox labs, they weren't testing consoles for 6 hours at a time. They would always play stuff like 3 or 4 hours in the lab and went, okay, this works good. So they never considered, oh yeah, people are going to be sitting here playing this 10 hours a day and it'll eventually melt the insides. So I wonder if, like, the PlayStation lab, hopefully they tested this thoroughly enough before they mailed it out.
Yeah, that's perfect. I was going to bring up Red Ring of Death. Like, companies aren't going to make that mistake watching Xbox, like, fall over in the mid 2000s with that. That was, like, really bad. There was a lot of problems with the Red Ring. You had the heat sink on the board, and if it got too hot, it would trigger the console to shut off. It was like a safeguard.
Yeah.
So they had to completely revamp that thing. They revamped the Xbox 360 where it looked the same, but it wasn't as prone to Red Ring, but they still did. So when I see a PS5 revision that they think runs hotter, I'm like, I just don't think anybody's going to make that mistake again. You never know, but I wasn't buying into it.
We'll see. I mean, let's face it. If even one of these systems melts somehow, there's going to be 900 YouTubers of somebody going like this, and there's going to be a PlayStation 5 on fire on the thumbnail. We'll all know immediately if these things break.
Yep. Yeah, and my friend's like, you should make a video about this PS5 hot thing. I'm like, nope, I don't believe it. And so I put it on my thumbnail today for fun. I was actually going to put a cross out thing on it too. Like, no, but I guess today we're just pretty much laying that down to rest. Our predictions will be out there. We'll see if any fail. Of course, someone will melt one or vape into it, and we'll have
yes, vape into it. That was such a good freaking stupid viral thing last year.
Yep. Yeah, Other Zinc says don't forget about the yellow light of death. Yeah, all of them have had some problems, but so far the consoles have been pretty reliable. Yeah. So let's talk about something kind of lighthearted. So we were talking about Psychonauts earlier, and they have a section in the game where you can go through a portal that it's like a wannabe thing that the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart does. We both played Ratchet and Clank. I'm almost done with it. I'm sure you've finished it.
I did,
yeah, so it does this portal thing, and the developers said it could only be done on the PlayStation 5, but a developer for Telltale Games, I think it is. It says on the contrary, and there's a whole video about it, and it's got kind of everybody up in arms. Have you been following this story?
I talked to some developer friends of mine, and they made it sound like the guy is both right and wrong. I saw the stories that basically said I could get a version of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart to run on a PlayStation 3. That was kind of his point, right?
Yeah, it's kind of wacky to go all the way back that far, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, and that's what I thought he said, or something like that. And
he
what
did.
And that's what I heard people saying, that basically, yes. And somebody explained that the way the Ratchet and Clank system actually works in Rift Apart, from a programming standpoint is that when you try and grapple hook one of those portals, it just basically takes an existing level and sets it in front of you. It's not even really that demanding. It's just a really great trick. It definitely tricks my brain. It looks so freaking impressive. So they said that, yeah, theoretically you could put it on the PlayStation 3, but man, would it look bad. It's just a really easy programming trick, the same way that Portal and Portal 2 did it. You could definitely do it, but it's just a matter of like, would you? So, I mean, I believe it, but it would not be the same ripped apart.
Yeah, I think correct to be Traveler's Tale. I always get the two TT studios mixed up. That's why I was kind of looking off to the side trying to dig into my memory. Traveler's Tales, yeah, they do the Lego games because he has the Lego Portal and the newer Star Wars Lego games. So, yeah, it's kind of weird to say PS3 because when you're talking to your developer friend, they're probably telling you there's no way at this fidelity with this many things in the game to be able to bounce that on older hardware. But really the question is, could a hard drive do it? Do you have enough time? Which is what he breaks down. Do you have enough time to get the player character up to the portal so they don't see the LOD and the transition and the loading of the level to where you can bang into the portal? So there's some this and that. There's some yes and no, you're thinking?
I think so, but I'd be kind of curious. Maybe somebody's done a video like this, but I'd be really fascinated to see somebody like go into the old systems and put an SSD into some old system and then purposely port something to it. The way that I was really big into Xbox modding for a long time, and the amount of stuff we could create, like the amount of ports you could put, games that weren't supposed to exist, the fact that you could run arcade games better on an Xbox than you could on an actual arcade machine and stuff. I'd be fascinated to see if some bored developer somewhere could sit down and put something that shouldn't exist on those old systems on there with the help of an SSD. Because I feel like this generation, more than anything, I feel like learning the power of the SSD and how much that fast access really helps game developers. It'd be interesting to see the limits.
Yeah, we're still in cross-platform, like cross-generation situation right now, where almost every game is going to release on the Xbox One and PS4 for the most part. So it's so weird. Like we want that like true full next generation experience, and we're not always getting that. And there's only been a couple games on Xbox. There's been 3 or 4 on the PlayStation. So it's really in its infancy. And there's other things about. People are arguing about ray tracing. I'll go into this because this is not a huge discussion, but Little Nightmares got a full upgrade to next generation on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. And as they broke it down, you saw this one, that the Xbox wasn't doing ray tracing.
I saw you tweet it out today, but I didn't actually look at the story itself. So, interesting though. Did they explain why or what's up?
Yeah, so all of this isn't quite confirmed because it comes from a community manager at the studio for Little Nightmares. Yeah. But so I'm kind of taking it as, it's probably true. I mean, you can guess when stuff happens or not. But what happened was Little Nightmares was running at a slightly higher resolution, had a few more frame drops on the Xbox Series X, and the PS5 was pretty much solid and had better ray tracing. And then Digital Foundry didn't think it had, I think it was Digital Foundry, didn't think it had ray tracing in the Xbox at all. And my friend was like, what's going on here? And I go, something can't be right. Well, 24 hours later, someone asked the question, and it's a bug. They're coming up with a patch very soon. The ray tracing wasn't even working in the game, so it was defaulting to SSR. But you've played Little Nightmares. You can't.
I beat it.
Yeah, you can't. That game is so creepy. That's so good though. So you can't control the camera. Like, what good? Yeah. I want to push this into ray tracing for a minute. I'm sure you have an opinion. Like, what good is real-time reflections if you can't change the perspective of the camera, up and around? Because screen space reflections, for anybody here who doesn't pay a lot of attention, if you're playing a game like Watch Dogs Legions and you walk up in third person to a puddle, how do I explain this on a show? And you see a building ahead of you and the puddle's down here. If your camera has the building in view, you'll get the reflection. But once you bring the camera down to only look at the puddle and the building's no longer in view, the puddle will be empty. So it has to have it on the screen to flip it vertically and drop it in the puddle. But that's the way we played games for decades, and they look incredible. Here's my problem, Dreamcast Guy, is most games with ray tracing, they don't change how the lighting looks. They don't make it look more realistic. They look exactly the same with actual reflections.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
I mean, I still feel like we're still in this era where ray tracing, as cool as it looks, I'll be honest, I turn it on Spider-Man sometimes. I think it looks great to see, like, zoom in on his logo on his chest and it's reflecting the street. That's cool. But I feel like we still haven't seen the limits of it yet, especially for a game like Little Nightmares 2. I don't care that much. I like that game. I gave it a high score when I reviewed it. But, you know, oh man, this puddle doesn't properly reflect the light bulb off in the I don't know. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's still early, like I said, but so far ray tracing hasn't made games look better. And that's really what I wanted was, you know, lamps and sunlight and all this stuff to just make because I've seen examples side by side with RTX on, RTX off, and the game looks more realistic. But on console right now, they look identical to me in the way that the color casts and everything.
Well, especially, we still don't simulate light very well. I've seen developers talk about how, like, there are certain things that we just can't program very well into code. Like if there's smoke, only certain games can do a thing where like a red spotlight going through a thing of smoke can affect the color of the smoke. Like techniques like that are still very, very new. So that stuff concerns me more of let's make it where on a snowy day in Division, when there's a red stoplight, I want that patch of snow in front of it to reflect properly. And it does because of the snowdrop engine. I want more of that. And I'm not too concerned about, oh man, the reflection of that side window wasn't 100% accurate. My immersion is shattered.
Yeah, I mean, you walk by a store window, it's like, I can see my character. Yeah. If you're just joining us, this is the XNC podcast. This is Colteastwood, and I'm here with Dreamcast Guy, and we are going to talk about the Starfield fiasco in just a second. But if you're new or you've been hanging out here, we've got well over 600 people watching. Hit the like button. It'll show your support for what we're talking about. It's going to get pretty crazy. And then there's some really cool games we're going to talk about after that. But also, if you want to check out the show, we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts on audio only. If you want to check that out on demand, and the show will be on demand after it's done. But let's talk about Starfield. Everyone wants to know. Starfield's coming out 2022. People are still wondering if it's exclusive. And Aaron Greenberg and Pete Hines were interviewed by GameSpot during the Gamescom show last week. And they spoke in riddles about exclusivity. This is a big topic. Dreamcast Guy, are you keeping a close eye on this mess?
I am. I'm pretty certain this thing is like they're gonna make exclusives. They just paid $12 billion for Bethesda. If I paid $12 billion for a studio, I'm gonna be like, yeah, only make games for me. Like, don't even talk to PlayStation. Don't even look in that direction.
Yeah, 7.8 billion. But I mean, at that amount of money, I can't even count that high. So, well, I have a couple of references to this, and actually, I did a full video about Starfield plus some other updates to the game that will be going up tomorrow. It's been actually really crazy as I got ready for the show tonight. But I don't name names around here. But there are some accounts on social media that are pushing like an anti-Xbox narrative, or they're pushing negative news, and you get the same thing on either side. But one account said that Bethesda's Pete Hines suggests the door might still be open for a possibility of games like Starfield coming to PS5 in the future. Now, this comes from I have to look at my source. I think it's Gamer Rant that wrote an article based off the interview where this is partially the fault of journalists, the way that they frame things to kind of keep things ambiguous or to get people's pique their interest. But they kept setting up before putting quotes from Pete Hines or Aaron Greenberg, pointing towards like they're talking about Starfield. So the quote here is from the article says, this is from Pete Hines. There are Xbox brands that exist on other platforms. First and foremost, I think that it's important to note Minecraft didn't just stop existing on anything once Mojang was bought by Xbox. It's massively played game on all these other platforms. It's not a sorry, you're never going to get to play anything by Bethesda again. Certainly there are going to be things that you're going to be able to play on PlayStation. And that's the end of his quote. Then the article goes on to say, Hines mentioned how Starfield was announced as an Xbox exclusive, but he also suggested that the door might not be shut entirely on Bethesda games coming to PlayStation in some capacity. So them setting up, talking about Starfield, they reference it, so it's in your head. You got a colored link. And the last quote is, Starfield, it was announced as a thing. That's an Xbox exclusive, he said. I don't know if I would go as far to say you're done ever playing stuff on PlayStation. But again, I don't know the answer to that right now. And then the internet is in a furious mess. So
I think the reason that their Bethesda people are being ambiguous is my theory is I think that there is a Fallout 3 Anniversary Edition, which is there's been rumors about that for a while. I think it's done. I think there's probably some sort of new Vegas re-release. I think that they're going to keep doing, and obviously now we know about the Skyrim Ultimate Edition or the Anniversary Edition. I think that those things are still coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 and stuff like that. And I think they're trying to be like, yeah, we're going to keep releasing our updates and old contents. Like Elder Scrolls Online is still coming to. I feel like they're just basically saying, like, I like that Aaron Greenberg phrased it on Twitter like an hour ago and said, Starfield is being developed for Xbox. And I like the way he said that, being like, look, I'm not saying that it's exclusive. I'm just saying it's an Xbox game. I'm not saying like it's just not coming to PlayStation because we didn't make it for PlayStation.
Yeah, it's been really, really messy. And one of the quotes Aaron said, I'll just paraphrase. He said, it's really difficult to talk about these things because it gets sensationalized on the internet. And that was pretty much his quote. And when he replied to this person on social media saying that it was exclusive, an Xbox fan joked like, hey, Aaron, that's not clear enough. Somebody's still going to take it with it and run. And that's when Aaron said, it's not a timed exclusive. It's on Xbox. We've said that. That'll never change. It's pretty much how he's taken it. But yeah, people have had a really hard time with this. Now, I wasn't planning on covering this because I cover it pretty well in my video. But like you said, there are more things coming from Bethesda that have been in the plans for a long time. So that's a lot of games coming to PlayStation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's still, I've heard some stuff here and there. It does sound like a lot of stuff that's deep into development. I definitely think that part of the reason they're saying that is, I think, DLC that's still coming out, Fallout 76 updates that are coming out. It seems like those do sell pretty well on PlayStation, so they're not just going to cut off this free money that's coming in kind of thing. I think that it's basically just saying that, all right, new games that are beginning development now, we're not going to take the time because it does cost millions of dollars to make your things cross console. So it's like, it's cheaper for us. It's pure profit for us. Xbox is my dad now. it's going on Xbox.
Yeah, there was a weird quote from Pete in the beginning of the article where he just said, I don't know. I don't have an answer. It's not like I can't tell you. I just don't know. And there's a lot going on behind this acquisition with all kinds of deals that are kind of irreversible at this point. So I think one of them is probably those remasters like you're talking about. And then you got Indiana Jones, which might have a special contract from Disney. You know, working with Disney is probably a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, what's your prediction on Indiana Jones?
I don't know. And also, I'm trying to do less of, I try not to talk about games that are only a logo because we don't know what the genre is going to be. This might be a turn-based RPG for all we know. We have no freaking idea. I'm hoping it's going to be something like Tomb Raider. I think it'd be cool if it's a third-person platforming puzzler game, but I don't want to speculate too much. I hope it's good. I will admit, I'm not even an Indiana Jones fan. I haven't even seen most of the movies, so to me, it's like, all right, hopefully it's good, and maybe that will educate me as as a newcomer to it.
It's been a while. The newer one nobody really liked, but I'm sure Xbox fans were hoping for like an Uncharted style game, but I don't know if that's even what it is. Yeah, we don't know what it is. We assume it's not first person. First person with a whip would be horrible.
There was a leak. I don't know how much this went around, but there was a leak at one point that said that apparently what happened in a meeting is Xbox wrote Uncharted on a board and said, how do we make this? And that was about 4 years ago.
Gosh.
So I do think, because at that time, that's when the Uncharted 4 trailers were coming out and people were really, really hyped about that. So apparently they were like, all right, we're not trying to take this, but how do we make something that prints this much money and is this much hype? So I hope that that's what this is. I hope that this is the fruits of that freaking conversation, because I would love, Uncharted Xbox.
Yeah, it's a good thing to chase after. That's why I got a PS3. I got one real late so I could play the Uncharted games. That was like the one series I had to play on PlayStation for sure. I got a super chat here. We got Faisal Ashan says, good luck with the show, Colt. Welcome, Dreamcast Guy. Yeah, welcome to the show. Hello. This is the XNC podcast. This is a weekly show I do, and we've got Dreamcast Guy here from his YouTube fame, and we're talking. We got to talk some Gamescom stuff here in a minute, but we're talking about Starfield's exclusivity. So yeah, if you're watching the show, hit the like button, share it out. We're having a good time, and there's a lot of games to talk about. We've got let's see, I got one more. Brandon the man sends a $2 super chat. He says, when will we start seeing AMD Fidelity FX on Xbox? So this is a next generation RDNA 2 feature that will probably start showing up in new games. But right now this is all cross generation stuff until we start seeing this new stuff. I don't know when. That's another thing we could talk about is the tools. There's always the big argument about the tools. And it sounds like some of the developers are getting comfortable with the XDK for the Xbox, but they've been totally good with the PlayStation kit because that kit was out 6 months before launch. So they've been doing that job really well. So are you keeping an eye on the...
Somewhat. I hear about it here and there. It definitely sounds like in general, each console generation has been easier and easier to make stuff for. Apparently... PlayStation 3 was an absolute pain, obviously, and the 360 was more difficult than the original Xbox, but still pretty simplistic. PS4, Xbox One was apparently super easy, and this is even easier than that. So hopefully, I mean, the biggest concern I have is it feels like everybody's trying to make a game engine now, and some of these game engines just look great, and some of them run terrible, like Decima, which runs Horizon, and now Death Stranding runs great, but you know, I don't know. I feel like some of these engines just look terrible. Like that's my big concern about Starfield is that it's still running on the what do they call it, the creation engine?
It's a upgraded creation engine. So that could be iffy, you know, if it's janky, but we'll see. I mean, they've been working on this for a while. This is the first. We haven't had a lot of big space games. I messed around with No Man's Sky for a few hours, but it's missing. I don't know. It's missing some things that I would like, but that's all right. So let's see. We got the Gamescom stuff. There was a bunch of games that were shown. Well, let's talk real quick about how Halo came out the gate. I'm trying to remember when that was. I think it was I didn't have my show after that Gamescom event. But yeah, I don't think I did. So everyone was hoping for big things. I don't know if you knew this, but a couple of people reached out and said that Xbox fans will want to watch the Gamescom events both days. Yeah,
maybe not the best hype words. Yeah, you know what? I did see those tweets being like, "You're gonna want to tune in." Eyeball emoji. Well, I tuned in.
Yeah, and it was like right next to the you want to temper your expectations, but you want to tune in. So I guess I should have done the math and divided and figured out what they were gonna do. But I wasn't happy at all with a cinematic trailer for Halo, and then they use that opportunity to officially announce when the game's coming out, December 8th, and then that they were holding off on Forge and co-op. Have you been in the middle of this Halo argument?
I have, and I made a video about it because my thing was that, like, it sucks that we didn't see campaign. It sucks that we didn't see some multiplayer or some talk for the next flight or something. But I was actually happy that they took the stage. I feel like the tiny light. I appreciate that they came out on stage and they very clearly said that campaign and multiplayer are both coming out December 8th, because let's face it, there's been so much rumors and leak videos about the fact that they were going to try and split this up or delay the campaign last minute. So I did appreciate the fact that they were like, no, they're both coming out. Stop with the weird headlines, you know. So I'm excited for that game, but I am honestly really disappointed that we don't have campaign co-op at launch, because I love campaign co-op Halo so freaking much.
Yeah, I've played a ton of it. And my message was I just wanted it to come out its best possible way. But it was so divisive. Like, people were Xbox fans fighting amongst themselves. And I took the weekend after that news dropped to kind of listen to everybody and what they're saying. And I can see people they've waited long enough. They normally don't play co-op, so they're excited. They're going to get everything they want. And I also know 343 is not going to go back and change that plan. So it sounds like they're super committed to December 8th. It's going to be a big year. Multiplayer is going to be packed. The servers are going to be absolutely slammed. Then they announced the console and the controller. I bought the controller because I don't have an Elite V2, I caved. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Was there anything else at the Xbox Gamescom event that was? There wasn't a lot of.
I like the Dying
newsworthy
Light. I know
stuff.
that was on the Xbox stage. I thought that
Yeah.
Dying Light 2 freaking trailer was fire. The fact that it's gonna have like grapple hooks and paragliders is kind of freaking nuts. And I kind of like when they do stuff like that. When there's an Xbox showcase and they kind of just go, "Here's a great game. Like play it where you want." I feel like the main thing I like about Xbox's marketing for those last 7 months has been like, hey, Game Pass is great. Try things out on Game Pass. Here, it's cheap as heck, $1 a month the first month or whatever. And then after that, they're like, all right, if you want to go somewhere else, okay, play it on your PC. Play something on PS4. Like, just play games.
Yeah, Dying Light 1 was one of my favorite games last generation. Like, it just... I was a Dead Island fan. I knew it was campy the whole time, but Dying Light just kind of nailed it. It was so cool. What else did they show? They did some stuff for Flight Sim, like you can race. I did a video on this last week. We've been making videos. We're just trying to get out there and celebrate what we like, right? And people already know what's coming. We talked about that pre-show. Like, everybody knows the games that are coming. They're just waiting to see them. So
Can I ask you a question? I feel like you're a more hardcore Xbox guy than me, which is cool. Obviously, here we are on the Xbox podcast.
Yeah.
Do you like? I feel like Xbox is at times too conversational. I feel like they're too like Phil Spencer just sits down and has these real casual conversations about what they're working on, and that's really cool. And the Xbox community likes that, but it feels weird to me. Like that whole thing they started off Gamescom with the pre-show thing where they just sat there and talked about stuff and they didn't show much gameplay, and then they showed that like minute and a half of like Age of Empires 4. Look, we built a catapult. Trebuchet. That's one of the things where it's like I'm not even hating on it. It confuses me. I was like, what?
No, you can. You certainly can, because the past like handful of events, like the past 6 or 7 events, I guess, I'm just guessing, like they've been really good. Like Xbox found this formula where they just show a bunch of games and they don't do the sit down interviews, and us as Xbox fans are like, this is what we want.
Yes.
Like, these events are really super enjoyable. Pacing's really great. The only time one those shows go down is when they start showing a game that you may not be interested in, but you can't really help that. Like, they were killing it. And then they did this event, which Paris did a great job, but they had these long segments where I'm like, and my friend fell asleep. We were in party chat watching it, and I'm taking notes so I can make a video. And I'm like, where'd you go? And 40 minutes later, he's like, bro, I fell asleep from the trebuchet. So, we all laugh at that. But, I mean, Keeley's show was like games and Lindsey Sturley playing the violin and stuff. So,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to pull this back up real quick. I think I closed the. I was gonna leave this up for us. On the Game Awards channel, they had like most of the trailers, so we could kind of go through the stuff that were the big highlights.
Oh yeah,
because they had some cool stuff there. But let me scroll down here. Where does his show start? Oh yeah, that's when they did the Halo Infinite thing. See how those days mixed up. Ninja Turtles. Like you're excited about Ninja Turtles, right? The arcade Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing the Turtles in Time about 10 million times. I don't think I ever beat that game because I sucked at it. I was a dumb kid with tiny hands. But that new game looks really great. April O'Neil DLC. I just want that game to come out. I am sad that it did delayed it. But at this point, like, we've had enough bad game launches that I can appreciate a smart delay now.
Yeah. There's no online co-op on that game, though. Like, it's a lot like Streets of Rage that came out last year, which is really good. No online co-op on the Turtles game. What the
weird.
crap?
They must... that's really weird. I mean, I wonder how big .emu is, because that developer is great. I loved Streets of Rage. I wonder how broke they are. Like, not to insult their budget or anything, but typically that's the reason, is that servers just cost money.
Yes.
And the problem is that there's like these indie devs talk a lot about how like a game will sell a lot up front, but then it stops selling at a certain point, but you're still paying for the upkeep of these servers. So it starts costing you, $10,000 a month minimum.
Okay.
So sometimes they get afraid to commit to online servers, and then the game stops selling, and now you're bleeding profit while trying to work on your sequel or whatever.
Yeah, plus all the code and work you have to do to make sure that the online is actually working when it launches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I really didn't want to play it by myself, but I guess I did back. Well, I remember playing that game on the arcade. We got a super chat from RDX Son of Fett who says Psychonauts 2 and Far Cry 6. It's another game we don't talk about a lot. It's Far Cry 6. He says Series X consoles on Microsoft Rewards. So he must have like racked up a bunch of points doing his Microsoft Rewards, and yeah, awesome, man. I mean, I
actually don't know I don't know what Microsoft Rewards is. What is that?
So Microsoft Rewards is using your Microsoft account. You can do like daily quizzes on their webpage, or just every time you buy a game, you get. It's not 10%. It might be 10%. You get 10 or 5% of the purchase goes into your numbered account, and then you can cash that out from your account at any time. So after you buy like 10 or 15 games, you've earned enough to buy another brand new game. Yeah. Also, when you get achievements, they have Game Pass achievement requests or quests. So as you get achievements, you earn a certain amount of Microsoft Rewards, and like 150 points is about $1 or something like that. Wow. So you earn these points.
Because I keep getting the thing, I log in and play a lot of just random. My favorite thing about Game Pass is I'll just download stuff that I've never heard of and play it for 20 minutes, and I get that stupid notification every time where you've done your daily quest for a Game Pass. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, you're racking up a number there. I did a video a couple years ago about that. I was doing a daily routine in the morning before I started work where I'd click these quests and make like 450 points a day, which is, I don't know, like $3. And I just do it every day, and it would start to add up. And by the time you get halfway through the year, you've earned enough to buy like 2 games. So it's just something I did every day. And then I got totally worn out. So, but people love, they love the Microsoft Rewards. Jedi Knight Peter, thanks so much for the Australian $10 super chat. He says, "G'day XNC and chat. Just wanted to say I got 2 20-year anniversary Halo Infinite consoles. Jesus. One for me and one for my wife." Holy smokes, he spent like, I don't even know what that is in Australian dollars. That's a lot of money.
$10 million. He bought, that's Bethesda money right there. He could have bought Bethesda or the Xbox.
Just for the heck of it, I tried to pre-order one like a half an hour after the show was up, and they showed it, and it said out of stock. I'm like, whew, I wasn't quite sure. I don't usually buy a themed console. I'm good with the one I have down here as long as it doesn't.
I like to. Usually I'll buy those secondhand later on. Sometimes those can become more valuable. A lot of times, sometimes the themed consoles become cheaper because so many people rush to buy them sometimes. So usually what I'll do is at the end of a console generation, all right, now it's time to buy the special edition, because I have the Master Chief Collection Xbox One, which is the same Xbox One but with a fancier box or whatever. But I don't know. That usually at the end of the generation is when I start collecting the weird ones. Like I have the see-through blue 5,000 edition or 5 million edition of the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Oh, the one with the gold lettering on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is crazy looking. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Did you buy that one used, or did you get it brand new?
How do I phrase this? What's the Twitch meme? Saudi princes? An actual like weird royal prince over in the United Emirates contacted me and said, "This console is like $10,000 in my country. Do you want it?" I was like, "Kinda, yeah."
No way.
Yes.
And he didn't rip you off and drain your checking account.
My roommate kind of thought, like, you know what, this guy may freaking like mail you a bomb. It's just some random guy, and you're telling him our PO box. So they made me open this on the front lawn. I actually looked in the front yard, open a PlayStation 4. Like, is this it?
With a garbage can lid in front of you as a shield.
Literally, if there's a PlayStation 4 in my death, then I'll take that risk.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, well, congratulations, Jedi Knight Peter. That's quite the purchase for both of you. We got Bronze Player with a $5 super chat. Thanks, buddy. He says, "Here's $5 for 2 of my favorite content creators." Now that's something I can like that. That's really good. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, and welcome new channel member. We got True77 who joined the channel. He's got the Joanna Dark icon badge that I drew. If you go and check out the channel later on, if you join the channel membership, I drew like 7 different Xbox franchise characters, drew them with pen and ink and colored them up on the computer. So you get this little badge next to your name whenever you comment or say anything on the channel. It's just kind of a thanks. But all channel members get early access to my videos. So True77, I've got a video on the channel right now that doesn't go up until about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning about this whole Bethesda thing and some new information about Starfield. So you have early access to that video for being a channel member. Thank you so much. And one more as we'll get into these games, Dreamcast Guy. We got RDX Son of Fett with the Canadian $6.99. He says there's Psychonauts 2 and Far Cry Special Edition Series X consoles on rewards. Psychonauts 2 and Far Cry Special Edition? I haven't even seen these.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Is that region?
Yeah.
Is that like a region specific thing?
I don't know. You're going to have to DM me on Twitter, RDX Son of Fett, and send me what those look like, because I didn't even know they existed. And I thought I knew everything. All right, let's talk about, let's see, they did some Splitgate stuff. I'm not going to talk about Lego Star Wars. I used to really love that game, but
I think it looks pretty good, yeah. But
it does look nice.
It's hard to say anything new. It's Lego and it's Star Wars. You know what you're getting.
Well, is it the 6 movies kind of rebuilt?
Because I
played all 6. I don't know anything about it.
I think it's the new trilogy. I think it's just the 3 new movies. The sequel trilogy,
okay. It's
all fully done. I think I could be wrong as hell.
Well, I'm seeing clips when I scrub over it of the original series. I don't know enough about it, but I played the heck out of those like 10 years ago. But I don't know if I could go back and play them. But I don't know. Let's talk about a crazy game, Dreamcast Guy, that I was making fun of the first minute, and then I go, oh, that's kind of cool. This game is DokeV. Did you look at this thing?
I hate it. I know I'm the one person. There's like this weird happy energy about it that freaks me out. It feels like
so
some uncanny
weird.
valley. Like I feel like I'm looking at like an alien pretending to be a human. Like, hello, I want to play the game with you. Like, oh no, I don't. Something freaks me out about that game.
I mean, it's like 5-year-olds in a GTA Pokemon City or something.
Yeah.
And what's up, Punky Dish? Yeah, it's so funny because we were making fun of it because it had this cute music. I'm like, what is this? What is this? And then they start like going around on a skateboard and shooting guns.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Let's see. DokeV? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, and so I researched it. I did a video saying it looked kind of dumb, talking about my Gamescom coverage, and afterward people informed me that that's like a whole big universe thing that's already existed, and we're just finally getting it in the West. Like the way that, Hello Kitty, there's actually like 20 different versions of Hello Kitty, and all these sisters, but we don't get any of that here in America. We just get Hello Kitty. It's
we get
like
the one
that.
On the backpack.
Yeah, you get the one version of something. So, or Domo-kun. So I think it's like that. This is like an existing universe. We're just getting like the 6th version of it, which why it's this gigantic city now and a million costumes. It's very weird.
Well, I mean, I got to correct you. I mean, because it does look kind of cool. Like, I know it looks goofy. It's not like my type of thing. It's real anime, which I've never been a big fan of that. Yeah. And you play as like a 5 or 6 year old kid, which is weird, right? But I mean, I hate to say the word weird. For me, it's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I say that? For me, it's strange. It just looks so different, but the way that they moved around the world and you like got this open city and you fight monsters and robots, I was like, oh my gosh, like something about it. And Punky just says, I need to try this weird game. Something about it. Like, I was like, I need to give this game a shot. And the chat saying, I got to go back to the pronunciation. DokeV. DokeV. That sounds, I guess I'm getting it. But I just thought it was such a weird game that I would, it's weird for me that I was like, man, that looks cool to go against the grain.
I mean, if you play it, if there's some sort of online functionality, maybe I'll play it with you. We can make a video called like Boomers Play DokeV or whatever.
Yeah. But I don't know what it was. Last year we had the Balan Wonderland game that everyone was like, oh my gosh, and it's one of the lowest scoring games of the year. So people are really excited. Maybe it's one of those things that I was like hyped, like this looks like something I should give a fair shake, and maybe it'll come out and it'll just get messed up.
This is gonna be one of those games that in my opinion looks like weird or terrible or whatever the heck, and then it's gonna come out and get 90s on Metacritic or something, and I'm gonna be like, nope, I'm just too old. I've aged out of whatever this is supposed to be.
Yeah, there's quite a few games that you won't see me play because I just feel like I don't know, they're not for me, but that we're going to bounce in.
I want to say
We're
real
gonna-
quick, that's something about being a YouTuber that I feel like is interesting that people don't understand, is that you have like your niche, you have your thing that you're good at, the games you enjoy, and faking enthusiasm is people can see right through it. So it's
Sure.
you can't just play something like, I love Silent Hill, so I'm going to play a good Silent Hill, a bad Silent Hill, but I don't know anything about Call of Duty. So if I tried to become a Call of Duty channel, I'd suck at it. So when I see DokeV, even the biggest fans of that, I'm like, I just can't engage. If I tried to make content on it, it would be the weirdest, awful stuff, you know.
I just have this feeling that it's going to be super fun, and I'm going to get just knocked off of my usual what's cool. And I seriously feel bad that I say a word weird, because I don't like when people gatekeep games, and I gatekeep Banjo-Kazooie like crazy, trying to go away from that because people want Banjo-Kazooie, but I don't know. We'll get into that. Sort of ties into Saints Row. We'll get to that kind of last, because there's an interesting thing going on with Saints Row. Let's see. I think there's only a couple other games. Did you see this Blood Hunt vampire game?
Yeah, I've seen some positive talk about it. I don't like it. Something about it feels like it feels like this is the with every game genre, there's first wave and second wave, and this feels like second wave battle royale, where like we have Call of Duty did Warzone, and Fortnite's evolved itself 20 different times in PUBG, because this is apparently a vampire battle royale, and I don't know why, but that sounds like a horrible 2 words I don't want put together. So maybe it'll be cool. I'll be open-minded about it. That teaser trailer and that first gameplay did not grab me, but if it comes out and it turns out it's cool and it's supposed to be free to play, I'll probably check it out at the very least. But that teaser was not for me.
Did you think it looked like Redfall, like that trailer for Redfall?
Yes, yeah. But I mean, color palette, and vampire magic.
Some of the characters,
you're gonna have a lot of overlap. Yeah. Well, and I guarantee you how bad it must have felt, because I've heard stories occasionally where developers working on a game in secret for years, and then somebody announces one just like it at the same time. You're like, we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. Like a lot of people compared Infamous and Prototype, because it was both.
For sure. They came out the same month.
Superpowers. Yeah. Random guy gets superpowers and has to have an open world adventure to figure out his past. Everybody compared it, and the developers hated it. Like, please, we're working on very different games here.
Yeah, I remember that so much. In fact, I was like, I thought Infamous looked better than Prototype. I'm like, dang it, I have a 360. I can't get Infamous. There was something about, when you're bringing up like the similar. There was a story I don't remember about BioShock. Some other game had like the diver suit in a big reveal before BioShock, and Irrational Games was like, oh no, like that was that was their big thing. I don't remember what it was. Do you remember what the other?
Neither do I, but I'm a big, obviously I have BioShock tattoos, big BioShock fan. So I've read a lot of their interviews and stuff, but their whole development was so rocky. There's leaks going around about BioShock 4, which sounds like it's having trouble too. I think that's just a cursed game studio in general.
Yeah, Ken Levine isn't there anymore, so you never know. You never know what you're going to get. But
I'm turning on a light super quick because the sun's gone down. I'll be back in 1 millisecond.
Okay. Yeah. Dreamcast Guy is a couple hours ahead of me, so yeah. Thank him for staying up a little later to do the show. It's a good time because there is a lot of cool games to talk about. Let's see what the next one is. Horizon Forbidden West update. What a big surprise and a shock. But did you see there was somebody on Twitter that said they talked to a developer that it was on track for 2021?
Yeah. I've heard from different sources that it sounds like they could have shipped it this year, but they would have had to rush and cut and really tuck it into the box. And so apparently PlayStation was like, all right, if we give you an extra 3 months, will the game score higher on Metacritic? And they went, yes, absolutely. So they gave them the delay. So I'm mixed. I mean, like we said earlier, delays happen. You have to do what you have to do. But God, I want to play that game so bad. I feel like it's been an eternity since the first Horizon came out. So it's just like, I don't know. I'm ready for that game to come out. But 2022, we'll finally get it.
Well, gosh, will that be a 5-year? Let's see. I was trying to do the math on my fingers. It came out in 2017?
Yeah, it came out the month of the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, 2017.
Yeah, so it has been a while. It's so funny if that's true what you said, that PlayStation says, well, you get a better reception if it's everything's banging on all the cylinders, and you get the complete package. You don't have to cut things. It really goes back to the people that were asking Halo to just wait. Just wait till everything's ready. But I've played that multiplayer. I did the flighting on Halo Infinite. I know that multiplayer is going to be great. I know that the campaign will feel good because I know how the game feels in the multiplayer. Hopefully everything is polished. You got people in the chat saying don't care about Metacritic. Yeah, we don't care. It is one of those things we look at.
Apparently PlayStation, a lot of big studios now, they're actually doing things like, just to inform chat, a lot of bonuses and stuff. As crappy as this is, you'll spend years in secret working on a game, but if it doesn't hit a 90 on Metacritic or an 85 on Metacritic, usually developers at the end, a lot of people are let go. They'll give you like a $20,000 or $30,000 bonus to thank you for working on this game for like 5 years. But now they're basically saying if this game doesn't get high enough on Metacritic, you don't get that bonus. So now you don't have a job, and the game you're working on, you don't get the bonus either. So I don't know. It's the type of thing of like, we don't care about it, but it's that stupid carrot on a stick that does affect these people.
Yeah, and we don't work at the studio, so it's not the same thing. But yeah, it's people get crazy about Metacritic. Now, I've done a whole thing about. You can use Metacritic. My stance is it's just one tool. Like the reviewers you trust, friends you know that like the same games as you, or really tell you should try it out. And then Metacritic, then you can spend your $60, $70. But let's see. Raiden Blade gives a £2 super chat and says DokeV is 5, so it's Doke or Doka. Well, whatever. This is the V. Yeah, is 5. Raiden Blade says the DokeV V is 5, and he says this is a Korean game. It's a Korean-made game. Koreans are making some amazing stuff. Their Smilegate is Korean and South Korean, and they're making the online part of Crossfire X, which we also saw that show. Looks cool. We've seen a lot of gameplay of that game. I wanted to see Halo gameplay. Yeah. Let's see.
We're playing Halo, by the way, right? You and I? We got.
Yeah, we'll play Halo. We'll play Halo. Let's see. We talked about Lindsey Sterling. Let's talk about since we're a little bit older or old enough. Let's talk about Saints Row. It's getting like thumbs down, like really bad in all of their reveals on Twitter and on YouTube.
Bizarre.
Take me from your
I've
original.
been defending it. If y'all follow me on Twitter, I've been defending it. I think the game looks good. I like Saints Row, but as the games go on, I'm one of those people where I thought they got too ridiculous. The fact that in DLC you're going to hell, and then in some of the DLC you're fighting aliens, that's the dominatrix and stuff. I don't know. Like it was fun, and I enjoyed it. But now I'm at a point where I want a fresh direction. So I think rewinding the clock and doing it again is great. And also, here's my take: is I'm a really big Grand Theft Auto fan. I've played every single Grand Theft Auto, including ones people don't talk about, like Vice City Stories and stuff. I love all the Grand Theft Autos. And let's face it, Rockstar is not making another Grand Theft Auto for quite a while because they're printing money with GTA Online. This, to me, just feels like we're finally getting a Grand Theft Auto. It's just not from freaking Rockstar.
So, yeah, I could actually talk about. Let's talk about Rockstar for a minute, and we'll get back to Saints Row. Make sure we get back there, right?
Yeah. I put the bookmarks right here.
Yeah, there you go. I did a video a couple weeks ago about the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy remaster. And then after I did the video, I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't going to happen. So the source says that Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Remaster is coming out this fall, but they're supposed to promise the Grand Theft Auto 5 PS5 Xbox Series Remaster this fall. And I don't think, and you could correct me if you think differently, I don't think Rockstar is going to release both those games, both those sets this holiday. Do you think they will?
I think they will, just because... The rumor is, and the sources have been all over the place with this, but the rumor has been the fact that they were disappointed with how Red Dead Redemption 2 performed online, where like Red Dead Redemption 2 sold a lot, they made their money back, but they wanted GTA Online and Red Dead Online to both be big money makers, and Red Dead Online died so fast. And so the rumor is that they're trying to find like, all right, we got to push out something that's cheap and is going to make money. So that's part of the reason they apparently made the GTA thing. And apparently they're also working on some sort of Red Dead remaster as well for the first Red Dead Redemption and stuff. So that
would be really cool. It's so weird that Red Dead 2 Online just didn't do anything.
Yeah,
I wasn't compelled to play it. And then they separated it where you could.
Yeah.
Was it free to play or you could buy it separately for $20? I don't remember.
I
bought it when it came out.
I can't remember. I bought it. I did a big video. It was actually one of my biggest videos talking about it because I was very unimpressed with the online in general. I just thought it was like, I don't know. It was it just didn't have enough gimmicks, bells and whistles. It was just so cut and dry. It's cowboys, Wild West. And I was like, oh, I need a little bit of spice on this. I feel like, the flying cars and stuff of GT Online is a bit too far, but I don't know. I want more horse races or something,
It's such a stark difference of what you can do in GTA Online, even in the very first outset of online. I had so many laughs with friends, but we just weren't compelled to go ride around and earn a better leather jacket in
exactly.
in Red Dead 2.
Well,
so
apparently, they apparently had a problem too with racists. Apparently there was a big problem of people just like dressing up as like KKK members and riding around in the towns, and they kept having to ban people, and apparently it was a big problem. There was a lot of articles written about it, and it's like, I mean, as Rockstar, it's difficult to just constantly squash out people like that. So apparently that was like, that doesn't help your game when those are the headlines.
Gosh, you have so many fans that want to play that stuff, and people love to grief in GTA. So yeah, that's going to happen. So you think that it could be this Trilogy remaster could happen? Like they could ship them both. I mean, it sounds like the remaster's almost done, and of course, the 5 one's almost done.
I hope so. I'm most curious to see what they end up actually doing with the Trilogy remaster, because I went back and played Vice City recently on my PlayStation 5. Obviously, it's just the PlayStation 4 version. That game does not play good anymore. The lock-on system's not great. Your guy runs like he's underwater and pooped his pants and stuff. Like it's really weird. It's fun. The voice acting is still great. Obviously, still best soundtrack ever. But it makes me think that if they re-release those games, they got to make it so you can walk and shoot at the same time and make it so the weirdest part is that A is gas and your shoulder buttons are to look around, so it feels really so non-modern. They got to do a lot of updates to get those to be playable now.
It's really bad. I put in about 5 or 6 hours of San Andreas this past week or two, and every time I get in a firefight, it's like, this isn't happening. I hold B and he just shoots. Like every gun is like an automatic. I can't believe we used to play games that way.
Yeah.
But let's go back into Saints Row, because I see the chat. It's like, it's woke. So I want to lead this off by an explanation. Saints Row came out in 2007, I think. I think it was 2007, maybe 2006. So if you were in your 20s when Saints Row came out, you're now almost in your 40s or in your late 30s. So everyone's like, why does everyone look like college kids? It's so funny because the older people who maybe you were even a teenager when Saints Row 1 came out and you played through the series, you're now a lot older. You're 15 years older. You've moved on. And when you look at kids in high school, even without looking at a game, you're probably like, why do they look and act like that? And I think Volition was targeting, an 18-year-old to 20-something-year-old audience back in 2007. Now they're targeting that same demographic, but we've grown past it, and we're changing kids' diapers, and we have real jobs, so to speak. So you liked it, but so tell me, what's the big mess?
I like it, but I can understand those complaints. I think the thing is that, let's face it, the gaming demographic is aging up. The average person who plays video games, some of the most high-spending demographics now are like 38-year-old dudes who, I've got the liquid income, I'm gonna buy stuff, so a lot of casual gamers. There was a stat that came out like 4 or 5 years ago that most casual gamers with a modern console buy 2 games a year. And I think a lot of people are trying to compete to be one of those 2 games. That's why Call of Duty makes it a point to be annual. We always want to be one of those 2 games. So I think a company like this is being like, all right, how can we as flashy and loud and vibrant and make sure we get to be one of those 2 games you're going to buy this year? Because I think a lot of hardcores, we're going to buy it. We're going to play it. I mean, every YouTuber is going to buy it. A lot of people are going to buy it. It's just a matter of like getting that casual audience, which is the gigantic untapped cash cow.
Yeah, and the reveal videos on their YouTube channel and on the Game Awards are like 50% like ratio or a little better than that. Like people are really critically panning it. Fonz in the chat, Fonz Early Gaming says they're a bunch of college kids, committing crimes to pay off their student loans. I'm looking. They look like Fortnite characters, so of course that's going to drive the hardcores crazy, right?
This is getting downvote bombed. I'm looking at 300 likes, 700 dislikes. Yikes, Reno. Yeah, that's not happy.
If I go to the Volition page real quick, let's see if I can. spell that while I'm sitting here trying to talk. Yeah. I like Saints Row 4 and 5. 1 and 2 are really crazy. Like people love those. They were very stilted. Like once you got into 3 and 4, the feel was really great behind the wheel and on foot. Let me go to this thing and see what 1,300 thumbs up for Saints Row welcome trailer. 2,800 thumbs down. So
Jesus. Yeah, they're getting buried.
It's so rough. Let's see, chat. Let us know. How do I get this? What would be a good emoji to share if you like it? Give us an eggplant emoji if you like the way Saints Row looks, and give me another crazy emoji if you don't like it. I don't know what to say, or just write in the chat what you think of Saints Row.
I see some people like Florida Man saying my son will love it and I'll play it with him. Yeah. So anybody who buys this game is part of the problem. That's a bit dramatic.
Oh yeah, at your expense has the peaches, and yeah, I don't know. I when I talk about DokeV, I'm sort of in the camp like maybe it's gonna be really fun, but it drives me crazy. The feathery hair and the no shirt with the 6-pack, and you have the classic girl with the shaved side of her head. That's like really edgy, right? So, of course, people are going to have a problem with that. Like, we can't get over the tropes or the art style to have a fun game. The gameplay looks solid.
We're in this weird spot now where so many gamers have literally played over 100 games. Like, most people have played hundreds of games in their life. And if you have a really bad gaming experience with a particular art style and stuff, you have those preconceived biases. So yeah, let's face it, there have been some pretty cringy, awful games out there that look similar to this. I understand people's hesitation. To me, I'm going into it pretty excited, but I understand the people that are like, no, like I definitely see people putting eggplant emojis and angry cucumbers in there.
Yeah, and they take the game to what do you call it, the Southwest, over to like Arizona type area, and it's like, where's the city? Like, where's the big city? Because Saints Row is basically a kickoff of San Andreas. At least that's what I thought. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Because they took like the gangs and the color schemes. You're now the ballers instead of Grove Street. And they just said, because San Andreas did more than any other open world had ever done at that point. Yeah. And then Saints Row's like, how do we do more? And there's some things that probably won't fly, like the joking name for Wendy's was a cuss word. And like, I feel like that stuff just doesn't work. Like, it's not going to be allowed as much. It's where the people get the woke thing right.
And I think it's that I do think that game companies are constantly afraid of, oh man, if we say or do the wrong thing, if we get in trouble, like negative headlines. Companies have talked about the fact that like if you get a viral negative video, it does hurt your sales. So I feel like sometimes they unfortunately do have a big meeting to go, all right, what's the most approachable art style? What's the least offensive? And yeah, sometimes you end up with 5 dudes smiling as they shoot at other 5 dudes, but everybody has great haircuts. I don't think anybody really gets like, that's a very bloodless trailer. It's a very, very corporate package to that crime and craziness.
So what do you think? How do you think the game's going to sell? It's a big franchise.
Let's face it, I think it's going to sell pretty decent. I think the previous Saints Rows were so loved, and they've been gone for quite a while now. As long as it doesn't completely suck, I think people are going to probably enjoy it. I mean, especially if we don't hear a single peep about GTA 6 before it comes out. I think we're going to buy it just because people want GTA-ish.
Did you play Agents of Mayhem?
Agents of Mayhem? I don't think I did. What is Agents or Agents?
Agents of Mayhem was made by Volition. It was supposed to be a Saints Row spiritual successor. It's like a Crackdown wannabe, Overwatch, open world.
Somebody sold it to me for 66 cents, and I've never put it in my PS4. I have it on my
shelf. You have it over there?
Yes.
It's not good. I really tried to like it because it did some things that Crackdown was supposed to do eventually. It had all these different characters that a lot of the characters had different animations, the way they played, different weapons, but it was an obnoxious game in my opinion. I tried to play it. I got most of the way through it, and I just said, I just can't do this anymore. I think that game just didn't do well. So Volition's like, well, we've put Crackdown on hold because we went to Gat Out of Hell and all that stuff. And yeah, you're right. It's just a mess. You pushed yourself too far, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and it's always sometimes you'll see a company and they try and do some gigantic, big, expensive experiments and then it fails. So they go back to what works. I think another example of this right now is Turtle Rock, Turtle Rock spent so much money. They made Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Everybody loved it. So they spent like hundreds of millions of dollars making Evolve. Nobody cared about Evolve. So what's their next game? Basically Left 4 Dead 3. We're like, all right, well, go back to the old practice,
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'm predict that the game's gonna have a tough time. They're already up against it, and if I was working at Volition, that would be really tough to look at. It's getting panned pretty hard, and that will definitely translate into sales. But it is a big new game. I guess it's just gonna have to come down to reviewers saying, "I didn't think I would like this, but it's super fun, and the combat feels great." But
if streamers get a hold of it, I feel like what's selling GTA 5 a lot is this GTA RP wave where a bunch of people now are playing GTA 5 online. All the big streamers are playing it 20 hours a day, pretending to be Wendy's employees and stuff. If they manage to do something like that gets the streamers, I feel like streamers sell stuff so hard now. So if that happens, who knows? You can never guess what's going to be the next hot thing. I never would have predicted Among Us would blow up, but here we are.
Yeah. You never like Fall Guys and these little games that they just hope that people play their game and they end up being one of the hottest things ever. So this will take us into our last topic as we round to the end here. We've played a lot of games and we still have a little bit left of the year, but so far, what is your personal game of the year out of all the gems and big games you played?
It's hard for me to say because I've beaten so many games this year. I really, really, really liked Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and I gave it a 10 out of 10. But now that I look back on it more in my memory, I still think it's a 10 out of 10 game, but the shortness of it, I feel like it does not have a chance to marinate in my long-term memory the way I feel like a game like Psychonauts 2. I think Psychonauts 2, which I haven't finished yet, I'm about 7 or 8 hours into it. I think Psychonauts 2 is kind of topping it. It Takes Two is really high. It's hard to say because there's some games. I'm a huge fan of the Yakuza games, and the next one is called Lost Judgment. That's about to come out. Lost Judgment's coming out in like a couple weeks. I think that game might be a Game of the Year contender because it's gigantic and open world, and there's a detective dog, and I love that kind of stuff. But it's hard to guess right now, though. I think it might be It Takes Two. Returnal's up there. I don't know. There's so many good games, but I
is
think...
Lost Judgment PlayStation exclusive?
No, I don't think so. No, because they're putting everything on everything now.
Everything's on Xbox now.
I think it's coming to Xbox, and there's a demo leaked, or the existence of a demo leaked. Yeah, it's coming to Xbox Series X and PS5 and PS4 and everything.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's I'm really looking forward to Forza Horizon 5. I've played the hours and hours of each one of those, and I'm hoping that the campaign, the open world campaign in Halo is really, really great. I'm looking forward to taking out Outposts, but so far from what I've played, it really comes down to It Takes Two. Like I said earlier in the show, that game, just everything felt so great. At one point, you're shooting missiles, or my son was throwing a drum cymbal like Captain America.
Yeah.
Or you're flying, or you're skating, or you're riding, or you're brawling. Like, just did so many things. And I don't think
wholesome.
A lot of games.
It's so wholesome at times, and I feel like games, a lot of times when they try to be wholesome, they miss the mark. It's genuinely wholesome. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, so I think that could be it. But yeah, we've got a lot of games to look forward to, and I don't know. It should be good. And I think from now on, Xbox has a whole bunch of games. That's what people aren't ready for. They've built all these studios up. They've acquired everything. They're making deals when they were sitting still for quite a while. So it's really good to see. So yeah, it's anybody's guess what will be at the Game Awards. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm gonna be curious if I like that. There's been so much chatter for about Battlefield 2042. I think that was the most watched trailer for E3 was actually Battlefield. I'm kind of curious to see a fully online game, if that will actually get the nomination, because that doesn't normally. Let's face it, awards are typically pretty biased.
Other than Overwatch,
single player narrative experiences. Yeah, you're right. Overwatch did win. That's actually a good point. So I'd be curious if we see an Overwatch thing where an online only game manages to get some awards that's not just online focused awards, best multiplayer, whatever. I'd be curious if that actually gets some game of the year nods.
That's crazy because, there are a lot that could be in there. Yeah, I mean, you can't count out Battlefield for 2042. I don't think Call of Duty will be in there, but Battlefield would. Mate W001 says, Colt, talk about the new IP. I wish I could. It's way too early. But as Jez Corden said, there isn't just one. There's so many games in the works. So I will talk about that as soon as I can. But if you're still here, there are over 700, almost 800 people watching. This is the XNC podcast. I'm here with Dreamcast Guy. We just covered some of the biggest games. I believe we missed a bunch that they showed at Gamescom and talked about Game of the Year. And of course, if you're wondering, Starfield, it's exclusive. I've got a video about that tomorrow that goes in even more detail. Dreamcast, where can they find you? How can they follow you if they enjoyed the show?
YouTube.com/Dreamcast Guy. I'm always working on a bunch of different content. I'm trying to do more Xbox focused stuff as well. In the past, I've definitely been a very PS4 and then PS5 focused channel in general, but I have my Xbox Series X, and let's face it, that thing is a beast. So feel free to subscribe. Actually, I've gotten a bunch of subscribers just while we've been live, so I'm assuming that's probably y'all in chat. So thank you and hello.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll follow him. I will have a link in the video when it goes, hey, risk it for the biscuit. He just shows up. He says, dang it, I woke up too late. Yeah, he said earlier he was going to come in and have a good time with the chat, but I appreciate you showing up, buddy. But yeah, thank you so much. This is the XNC podcast. It is on YouTube, and it will be on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Podcasts, and Apple, and a couple other places after the fact. I'll get that up when we say goodbye. But thank you so much, Dreamcast. It was nice to meet you and talk games. I'm sure we'll see more of each other. We'll have to play online. I
got to get you on Spawncast at some point. Come and hang out with the bros.
Yeah, send me an invite. And you can add me on. I'm Colteastwood on PlayStation and Xbox. I got that locked down. Nobody can take that from me. So thank you so much for being on the show. And I'll talk to you soon. And thanks to chat for hanging out. I got one more super chat from Harriet John. He says, $5 super chat. He says, Halo is out for VGAs. So from the date being December 8th, he thinks that it won't be nominated. But Cyberpunk should be in. That's a divisive thing. I like the game, but a lot of people didn't. Did you play it?
I did. I beat the heck out of that game. I actually beat it twice. I beat it on Xbox Series X first, and then I beat it on PlayStation 5 after. Oh, man. The PlayStation 5 version still very, very rickety. If they release the next-gen patch, because remember that they keep claiming to their investors that it's getting a patch that's going to completely repair the game for Xbox and PS5. If that happens, I bet that it's going to be a Game of the Year talk, and people are going to be pissed.
Yeah, I really liked it. I put like 150 hours into my one playthrough, but after I play it, I'm like, it doesn't do a whole lot that most other open world games did, but I really enjoyed it. And that's okay to really enjoy a game. Let's see, he says, what about Deathloop? Deathloop is getting really good previews right now. He says, if remasters count, I know exactly what he was going to say before I finish this, Mass Effect Trilogy and GTA 5 could count towards Game of the Year. Mass Effect Trilogy is one of the best games I played this year, and I've already played those games before many times.
So good. The quality of life changes are, if they end up making some sort of new category of like best re-releases, because we get so many now, that thing's definitely going to win.
Yep. I love it. But, it'll be new games, I'm pretty sure. But thank you so much, Dreamcast Guy. I'm going to let you, enjoy the rest of your evening. And thanks to the chat and everybody for showing up. And I'll see you next week. Check out my video tomorrow. It'll be up about 8 o'clock Pacific time, as long as I'm ready to go. And you guys have a good one. We'll see you soon.